This comes to us from Pirate Nation, who says the Polish Ministry of Digital Affairs discusses Stop Killing Games initiative. After discussion, they decided to support the initiative. And this is the screenshot, which is definitely not translated. So I brought it over to ChatGPT and I was like, hey, translate this for me. And it says, Weronika Smarduch is with the Ministry of Digital Affairs at the Sejm of the Republic of Poland. Stop Killing Games, the beginning of the discussion in the Sejm. Today, during a session of the Commission of Digitalization, Innovation, and Modern Technologies based on my motion, we began a discussion on protecting consumers' digital rights in light of the European Citizens Initiative, Stop Killing Games, which has supported by over 1 million EU citizens, including nearly 150,000 from Poland. The initiators propose that video games we've paid for should remain accessible even after servers are shut down, e.g. in offline mode, or via tools that enable private server hosting. During the conversation, the Ministry of Digital Affairs and MPs present at the session expressed support for this initiative. This is an important topic in the context of the changing digital market and consumer rights. It's worth discussing how to strike a balance between the interests of creators and the expectations of users. I believe that a calm dialogue and openness to new challenges are needed in the debate on digital consumer rights. Hashtag Stop Killing Games. So Poland is all in on Stop Killing Games and finding a resolution for it, which was refreshing to say the least. And we have an update from Ross at Stop Killing Games for a specific section of a video that he posted yesterday. It talks about a whole lot of stuff, and I have already seen this video. There was one section that really stood out to me. The rest of it is just kind of like what his channel does and stuff like that. I want to focus on the itch and Steam censorship situation because he brings up some fantastic points about the correlation of them.
Current Steam and itch censorship going on right now. I am not an expert on that, but I can talk about how it relates to us. I have some good news and some bad news, and I think some more good news. The good news is if a storefront removed your game and gave you no ability to back it up and continue running it without further support, then that is exactly the situation Stop Killing Games is trying to address. We've been mostly focused on games that have the online dependency built into the game, but if a store gave you no notice before removing your game, then yeah, it's the same problem, just a different flavor. The game you paid for was taken from you. Now, stores could still remove access to games you paid for, but they would have to give you 30 days notice or something, and the ability to back it up and keep running the game before something like that would be okay.
So, I would feel like you need more than 30 days notice for that kind of thing, by the way. I mean, I'm talking like 90 days notice or 180 days notice. Like 30 days notice is not very much time to be like, oh, this game, you get one email and you forget about it. It's like, bro, you need more time than that if it's going to be gone forever.
Well, we can't address this situation now because, again, government moves really slowly. What we're doing could partially protect against situations like this in the future. Now, the bad news is Stop Killing Games would do nothing to prevent companies from delisting games. That's because to solve that, you'd have to create law mandating stores keep selling games. That seems unreasonable and unrealistic. We're also not addressing Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal's grip on entire world commerce, because that sounds like a way bigger scope than anything I could ever deal with. One of the reasons Stop Killing Games has made it so far is because there are gaps in the law on the issue of game destruction. We're shining a flashlight on a practice that may already be illegal.
It actually, he says may already be illegal. I'm pretty sure it is illegal. It's just nobody's actually taken them to task on it.
I can't even imagine where you would start with trying to rein in payment processors. That said, this censorship problem has gotten a lot of attention. So hopefully smarter and more experienced people than myself know how to push back against this. But even if they don't, I think this is a problem that will solve itself over time. That's because both players and publishers want to buy and sell the games that are being censored. So that means there's real market pressure to find a solution. In fact, I bet there's a startup frantically trying to fill the gap that credit card companies are leaving them right now
Absolutely.
because there's so much money being left on the table for them.
I would say yes, there are, but I think that's already underway that we talked about the other day with Elon Musk and X payments. That's already far along, where by the time that's up and running, it's going to dwarf anyone trying to come up with a middle management strategy right now. But the more the merrier.
If you bet on companies wanting to make lots of money, you're rarely disappointed. I also think this situation points out how hollow the alternative solutions you sometimes see suggested are, like clear labeling or voting with your wallet. In both cases, those do not save the games you want to keep.
Right.
It's the same for censored games also. Voting with your wallet only helps if the game is allowed to exist in the first place. So Stop Killing Games would only help with part of this censorship situation in the future, but it's certainly compatible with people trying to do more. Okay, speaking of the future, I think what we've done with Stop Killing Games
so that was the section I really wanted to talk about from that. And then I wanted to go on to one more part of this that I found interesting, which was Games Radar covering it as well. Because Stop Killing Games is actually making a massive, massive disruption in the market right now. Like I'm seeing developers, CEOs, figureheads in the industry on LinkedIn. You search Stop Killing Games on LinkedIn, it is the talk of the town. Some are very for it, some are very against it. But the fact that they're talking about it tells you that this is permeated far beyond YouTube. This has become a actual situation. Stop Killing Games has actually changed the timeline. As EU petition comes to a successful close, founder says on ending overtime has him ready to take a break for the next 10 years. He's talking about Ross here, but he's sticking around until it's done. And he said, you know, that life-draining machine from The Princess Bride? Yeah, I feel like I might have had a round or two on that. Stop Killing Games campaign is celebrating a major win this week as the EU petition that's been at the movement's heart has come to a successful close. For now, it's time to do a lot of waiting as the wheels of government slowly turn. And the movement founder is most of all looking forward to taking an overdue break from the grind, which that was the main point of Ross's video. The overarching point was saying, I'm tired. I've gone as far as I can with this, and now we just wait for the government, which I can understand and I can respect. And he wants to get back to doing what he does on his channel, what he always did. He was never about Stop Killing Games. He was about talking about the games behind the scenes. And it was all the direction of the plots of the games he was going with. He even explains in his video saying when he talked about the news of the games, how it would just be the news, it would not go anywhere. But what he did with Stop Killing Games actually did something. And that was a monumental impact in the gaming world. Like this is one of those moments that like he made a difference on planet Earth. One person did that for the future of gaming. It's crazy to say. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it holds true and gets through and does actually make a difference. I think what we've done with Stop Killing Games has actually changed the timeline, or is attempting to, says Ross Scott in the new wrap-up video. He cites a pile of older games shut down, including the death of Overwatch 1 in favor of Overwatch 2, which came and went without much fanfare. I feel certain that without us, the crew would have been just another shutdown, like Darkspore, Battleforge, PlanetSide, Asheron's Call, and Dust 514. I mean, if any game was going to get people motivated, I would think it'd be Overwatch. It sold over 50 million copies, was destroyed, and people just accepted it, which is true, by the way. I feel like people accepted it because it was just like, yeah, I guess this is how it goes. They didn't think they had recourse. Because to be honest, they didn't have recourse. There was nothing to do except be like, well, shit, that sucks. I bought a game and now it's not even there anymore. Or I can't play that game anymore. Best I can tell, I think it didn't have the same legal openings that the crew did. But there wasn't an upsell that led to any big action that I'm aware of. The EU Citizens Initiative that Stop Killing Games inspired closed on July 31st, having earned 1.4 million signatures. well above the goal of 1 million. The process will now see the organizers of the petition meet with representatives of the European Commission and present their concerns at a hearing in front of the European Parliament. The Commission will then recommend which, if any, actions should be taken, potentially including new legislation. Since the signing period is over, we're entering a phase where things like counter lobbying and political connections are the most important, says Scott, who, as an American, is not among the EU petitions organizers. Frankly, that's not my department. I know nothing about that, though some political insiders do, and they're advising the official organizers. I'm not even aware of their plans. A month ago, it seemed like the EU Citizens Initiative was likely to fizzle out, but that's when Scott posted a video called The End of Stop Killing Games, which ironically took off to give the campaign a whole new life. When I made the first end video, Scott now says, I thought I would get a break afterwards. Nope. It's been unending overtime because like hell, I was going to miss the opportunity to turn this around. Clearly, Scott is ready for a break. I've said before, I've kind of hated doing all this, he explains. I just been competing scale of knowing I would hate myself more if I quit at a critical juncture. Scott hopes to soon go on a standby break where if something important happens where I need to do something, yeah, I'll drop everything and do it. But for now, there's still work to be done. Right now, I feel like I want to take a break for the next 10 years, Scott says. Probably don't need to, or really can't really. But maybe I only need a couple of days. I have no way of telling anymore. You know that life-draining machine from Princess Bride? Yeah, I feel like I might have had a round or two on that. So shout out again to Ross at Stop Killing Games and Accursed Farms for a very successful campaign. Now it's in the hands of the regulators and the EU. Hopefully they do the right thing. But man, he did a massive, massive chore for the game industry and something that people will remember forever. That was amazing. And a hell of a feel-good story. That's what I love to see. But I'll leave that one there.